The crystalline spires of the Meridian Empire's High Council chamber pierced the violet sky of Centauri Prime, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Inside, Admiral Thexera stood before the assembled council, her silver-scaled form casting long shadows across the polished floor. Decades of combat experience had taught her to read a room, and right now, every instinct warned her that the Empire was about to make a catastrophic mistake. "Honorable Council," she began, her voice carrying the weight of centuries, "I stand before you not as a politician, but as a warrior who has witnessed firsthand the folly you are about to commit." Her compound eyes swept across the chamber, taking in the dozens of species represented in the Empire's ruling body. Some shifted uncomfortably under her gaze, while others maintained their air of dismissive superiority. High Counselor Venthor, his crystalline form glittering with barely contained impatience, leaned forward. "Admiral, we have reviewed your objections to the integration directive. They have been noted and dismissed. The humans will serve in our war against the Nexus Horde, whether they wish to or not." Thexera's outer membrane rippled with frustration. "You mistake technological advancement for superiority, Counselor. I have faced humans in battle before we established our current peace. Their ships were primitive, their weapons crude, but they achieved things that should have been impossible." She gestured to the holographic display dominating the chamber center, where Earth's image rotated slowly. 3 solar cycles ago, when the mining colony on Proxima Beta fell under attack from separatist forces, a single human merchant vessel turned the tide of battle. They converted their cargo holds into makeshift missile bays, used mining explosives as weapons, and developed battle strategies that our tactical computers dismissed as suicidal. Yet they succeeded. Isolated incidents, interrupted Counselor Zarkax, her tentacles writhing with derision. Their victory at Proxima Beta was mere luck, nothing more. The Nexus Horde grows stronger by the day. We need cannon fodder to slow their advance, and humans breed quickly enough to serve that purpose. The Admiral's claws scraped against her ceremonial armor as she clenched her fists. "You don't understand. Humans don't think like us. They don't fight like us. When we wage war, we follow patterns refined over millennia. Humans, they improvise. They adapt. They look at our most basic assumptions and ask why not differently." The chamber's air grew heavy with tension as Thexera continued. "I've studied their history, their wars. Do you know what happens when humans face extinction? They don't surrender. They don't accept defeat. They change the rules of engagement entirely." She approached the holographic display, manipulating it to show footage from Earth's archives. "Look at their Second World War. One side had superior numbers, superior industry, superior position. The other developed nuclear weapons. Their Cold War never turned hot because both sides knew they could destroy their entire planet several times over. They developed deterrence theories our finest military minds are still struggling to comprehend." High Counselor Venthor's crystalline surface darkened with annoyance. "Your point, Admiral. My point is that if you force humanity into this war, you won't get obedient soldiers. You'll get billions of beings who excel at turning disadvantages into weapons. And if you threaten their homeworld, you'll discover exactly why every species that has ever tried to conquer Earth has failed." The chamber erupted in murmurs, but before Thexera could continue, the holographic display flickered and changed. A new image appeared, the distinctive biological ships of the Nexus Horde, approaching the Empire's outer territories, far faster than predicted. "The Horde advances," Venthor announced, rising to his full height. "We need every available resource, every weapon, every soldier. The humans will serve, or they will be eliminated. That is the will of the Council." Thexera's outer membrane darkened with resignation. "Then you doom us all. Because you're not just fighting the Horde anymore. You're creating an enemy that will reshape the galaxy to defeat you." She turned to leave, but paused at the chamber's threshold. "I've seen humans laugh in the face of death, counselors. I've seen them sacrifice everything to save strangers. I've seen them turn certain defeat into victory through sheer stubborn creativity. And now you plan to give them a reason to turn all of that against us." The council chamber's doors sealed behind her with a resonant boom, leaving the Admiral alone in the corridor. Through the vast windows, she could see the capital's defenses, energy shields, automated defense platforms, and the pride of the Empire's fleet. All of it built on principles of warfare that stretched back millennia. All of it useless against an enemy that refused to play by the rules. Her communicator chimed, displaying a message from her sources in the human territories. Earth's deep space sensors had already detected the Horde's approach. They were preparing in their own way for what was coming. The Empire thought they were being clever, forcing humanity to choose between submission and extinction. But Thexera knew better. Humans would choose option 3, victory, by any means necessary. As she walked toward her ship, the Admiral began composing a message. There were still those in the Empire who remembered the lessons of history, who understood the danger of underestimating humanity. They would need to be ready for what was coming. Because the Empire had just made the oldest mistake in the galaxy, they had given humanity a reason to prove them wrong. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the heart of Project Prometheus, 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching humanity's future take shape. The vast underground chamber hummed with activity as researchers and engineers worked on what the public thought was a deep space research facility. In reality, they were building humanity's insurance policy. "Status report," she called out, her voice carrying across the chamber where a massive device dominated the center space. Its crystalline core pulsed with an inner light that shouldn't have been possible according to conventional physics. Dr. James Rodriguez, her chief engineer, looked up from his console. "The quantum field is stable, but we're still having trouble containing the ripple effect. Every time we push past 40% capacity, the local space-time geometry starts to." He paused, searching for the right words. "Well, it starts to get creative." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Creative is what we need right now." She turned as General Michael Hayes entered the chamber, his usually stoic expression carved with worry lines. One look at his face told her everything she needed to know. "They're coming, aren't they?" The general nodded, pulling up a holographic display that filled the air between them. 2 hours ago, we received this." The message from the Meridian Empire played out, its threatening undertones barely concealed beneath diplomatic language. "Join the war effort, or face annihilation." "They think we're primitive," Sarah observed, her eyes never leaving the quantum core. "That's good. We can use that." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "You sound awfully calm about an alien empire threatening to wipe us out." "Because they're not seeing the whole board, General." Sarah gestured to the facility around them. "For the past decade, we've been reverse engineering every piece of alien technology we could get our hands on. Not just copying it, improving it. The Empire thinks we're centuries behind them technologically. They don't realize we've been playing catch-up at a pace their rigid scientific mindset can't comprehend." The quantum core pulsed again, and Sarah walked toward one of the observation windows overlooking the testing chamber below. Dozens of smaller devices were arranged in a complex pattern, each one representing a breakthrough that should have taken generations to achieve. "Do you know why we've advanced so quickly, General?" she asked, not waiting for an answer. "Because we don't accept limitations. The Empire scientists see a law of physics and treat it as absolute. We see it as a challenge. They follow their ancestors' paths. We forge new ones." Hayes joined her at the window. "That's all very inspiring, Doctor, but we're still outnumbered and outgunned. The Empire's fleet makes our entire space force look like a collection of tugboats." Sarah's eyes gleamed with a mixture of determination and something else, something that looked almost like anticipation. "Numbers don't tell the whole story. We've been preparing for this moment since we first detected the Nexus Horde's approach 3 years ago. Project Prometheus isn't just one weapon. It's a complete reimagining of warfare." She pulled up her own holographic display, showing a network of satellites and stations scattered throughout the solar system. Most were officially registered as research outposts or mining operations. None of them were what they appeared to be. The Empire fights wars of attrition, Sarah continued. They throw ships and soldiers at a problem until it goes away. The Horde fights through overwhelming biological adaptation. But humans? We fight with innovation. Every defeat teaches us. Every setback makes us stronger. The general studied the display, his military mind beginning to grasp the scope of what he was seeing. These installations, they're all connected to the quantum core. Sarah nodded. Each one is a node in what we're calling the defense grid. Conventional shields can stop conventional weapons. Our grid, it doesn't just stop attacks, it learns from them, adapts to them, uses their energy against them. A junior researcher rushed up to them, tablet in hand. Dr. Chen, we've just received word from the deep space arrays. The Empire's fleet is mobilizing. But there's something else. The Horde, they're moving faster than predicted. Both forces are converging on our system. Instead of showing concern, Sarah's expression hardened with resolve. Perfect timing. Initial testing phase is complete. General, I need authorization to activate the full grid. Hayes hesitated for just a moment before nodding. Do it. But remember, if this fails. It won't, Sarah interrupted. Because we have something neither the Empire nor the Horde can understand. Desperation breeds innovation. And humanity. We've turned innovation into an art form. She turned to her assembled team, her voice carrying across the chamber with quiet authority. Begin full system activation. Notify all stations. Deploy the quantum boys. And someone get me a direct line to the Empire's approaching fleet. As the chamber erupted into renewed activity, Sarah allowed herself one more moment of reflection. The Empire thought they were forcing humanity into an impossible choice. Instead, they were about to learn why threatening Earth was the biggest mistake they could have made. Because humans didn't just fight wars. They revolutionized them. The Empire's warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of Earth's sun. 300 vessels, each one a masterpiece of engineering refined over millennia of warfare. Fleet Commander Ixel watched the approaching solar system from his flagship's bridge, mandibles clicking in anticipation. The humans' primitive detection systems would barely have time to register their arrival before the demonstration of force began. Status of the human defense fleet. He chittered to his sensor officer. Scattered and disorganized. Commander, their largest concentrations are near their lunar colony and the Mars outpost. No sign they've even detected our arrival. Ixel's compound eyes gleamed with satisfaction. This would be easier than expected. Begin the approach. Prepare tow. Commander, his tactical officer interrupted, voice pitched high with alarm. Energy spike detected. Massive quantum fluctuations throughout the system. The space around Earth's orbit suddenly blazed with light. Hundreds of quantum signatures flared to life, revealing a web of interconnected energy fields that had been invisible moments before. Ixel's mandibles dropped in shock as his sensors revealed the truth. Every asteroid, every seeming piece of space debris, every primitive satellite was part of an enormous defensive network. In the depths of Project Prometheus, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the Empire's fleet through the quantum grid sensors. They've taken the bait, she announced, her voice steady despite the tension. All stations, execute Protocol Omega. The grid hummed to life, each node activating in perfect synchronization. The quantum core beneath the mountain pulsed with blinding intensity as it channeled power through the network. In space, the Empire's fleet found itself caught in a web of forces they had never encountered before. Impossible. Ixel breathed as his sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. The humans weren't just defending. They were warping the very fabric of space around their ships. Every attempt to target Earth's forces was met with physics-defying countermeasures. Sir, his weapons officer called out, our primary weapons are being redirected. The humans are somehow using our own energy signatures against us. Before Ixil could respond, new contacts appeared on his tactical display. The human ships were moving with impossible precision, their formations flowing like water through the quantum grid's influence. Each vessel seemed to anticipate his fleet's movements before they happened. In her command center, Sarah watched the battle unfold through multiple holographic displays. "The grid is performing exactly as designed," she reported to General Hayes. "Every attack they launched teaches our systems more about their technology. We're not just defending, we're evolving." The Empire's fleet attempted to regroup, to fall back on centuries of tactical doctrine. But their rigid formations and predictable strategies played right into humanity's hands. The quantum grid didn't just protect Earth's ships, it enhanced them, allowing them to execute maneuvers that should have torn them apart. "This is impossible," Ixil snarled as another wave of his ships found their weapons rendered useless. "They're primitives. They shouldn't even understand quantum mechanics at this level." As if in answer to his outburst, a transmission cut through his ship's communications. Dr. Chen's voice filled the bridge, calm and almost amused. "Commander Ixil, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. You came here expecting to find a primitive species ready to be conscripted. Instead, you found something else entirely." On cue, the quantum grid pulsed again. This time, the energy patterns shifted, creating corridors of warped space that trapped sections of the Empire's fleet in isolated pockets. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't bring their full force to bear. "You see, Commander," Sarah continued, "while you were judging us by our visible technology, we were studying yours, learning from it, improving upon it. Your quantum drives gave us the foundation. We simply asked questions your scientists never thought to ask." Ixil watched in horror as his fleet's formation crumbled. Human ships danced through the quantum corridors, striking with surgical precision before disappearing into distorted space. Their weapons weren't more powerful than the Empire's. They didn't need to be. They were simply being applied in ways no one had ever conceived. But the true shock came when the long-range sensors screamed a new warning. The Nexus Horde had arrived at the edge of the system, their biological ships a stark contrast to the Empire's crystalline vessels. Both forces had expected to find easy prey. Instead, they found humanity waiting with a trap centuries ahead of its time. "All stations, begin Phase 2, Sarah ordered, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's determination. "Let's show them exactly what happens when you back humanity into a corner." The quantum grid pulsed one final time, and the real battle began. Because while the Empire and the Horde had come expecting to find primitives, they had found something far more dangerous. Humans who had turned their greatest weakness, their technological gap, into their greatest strength. And they were just getting started. Admiral Thexra watched from her command ship as the Empire's carefully laid plans crumbled into chaos. The Nexus Horde's biological ships clashed with Imperial vessels, while human forces danced between them, turning the solar system into a three-dimensional chess game where they controlled the board itself. The quantum grid had transformed the battlefield into something none of them had been prepared for. "Status report on the Human Defense Network," she commanded, her scaled fingers dancing across holographic controls. Her tactical officer's voice trembled slightly. "It's evolving. Admiral, every engagement teaches their systems new patterns. They're not just defending anymore. They're reshaping local space-time to their advantage." Through the quantum distortions, Thexra could see the Horde's attempts to adapt being countered before they fully formed. The humans weren't just fighting with technology. They were fighting with mathematics, turning the fundamental forces of the universe into weapons. In Project Prometheus, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team worked with practiced precision. The quantum core hummed with barely contained power as it processed combat data in real time, each engagement adding to its understanding of both enemy forces. The Horde is attempting to bypass the grid through biological adaptation, Sarah noted, studying the shifting patterns on her displays. General Hayes, I need authorization to implement Protocol Sigma. The general's face was grim but determined. The simulations weren't conclusive. We don't know if the grid can handle that level of manipulation. The Horde doesn't play by the rules of conventional physics, Sarah countered. So neither can we. Authorization. Hayes nodded once. Do it. Sarah's fingers flew across her console, initiating sequences that would have been theoretical just months ago. All stations, prepare for quantum resonance cascade. Synchronize your nodes on my mark. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden preparations revealed themselves. What had appeared to be simple mining operations on asteroids and moons activated, joining the quantum network. Each node added its processing power to the grid, allowing it to perform calculations that pushed the boundaries of known science. The Horde's biological ships suddenly found themselves trapped in bubbles of altered spacetime, their adaptive capabilities struggling against laws of physics that refused to behave as they should. The Empire's fleet, attempting to press their advantage, discovered that their weapons were being redirected through quantum corridors, turning their own firepower against both them and the Horde. Admiral Thexera watched in fascination as her worst fears and greatest hopes were realized. They'd weaponized unpredictability itself, she murmured. Then, straightening in her command chair, she made a decision that would change the course of the war. Open a channel to the human command, she ordered. Priority ultraviolet. In Project Prometheus, Sarah was surprised to see the incoming transmission. Admiral Thexera, she acknowledged, recognizing the officer from intelligence briefings. Come to witness humanity's primitiveness firsthand. I come to offer my fleet's assistance, Thexera replied. I warned the Council about underestimating humanity. They didn't listen. Now I intend to ensure their mistake doesn't doom us all. Sarah studied the Admiral's expression, seeing the genuine respect there. The Empire won't take kindly to desertion. The Empire's pride has blinded them to reality. Your quantum grid, it's not just a defensive system, is it? You've created something entirely new. We had to, Sarah replied simply. When you can't match your enemy's strengths, you change the rules of engagement. The grid doesn't just protect us. It learns, adapts, evolves. We took basic quantum principles and asked questions no one else thought to ask. A massive explosion lit up the space near Jupiter as another section of the Horde's fleet discovered the consequences of those questions. Their biological adaptation, usually their greatest advantage, was being turned against them by the grid's impossible manipulations of reality. Your help would be appreciated, Admiral, Sarah continued. But understand, this isn't about survival anymore. This is about showing the galaxy that humanity won't be underestimated again. Thexera's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval. Then let us demonstrate that lesson together. My fleet awaits your coordinates. As the Admiral's ships moved to join Earth's forces, the quantum grid incorporated them seamlessly into its calculations. The combined fleet moved with devastating efficiency, each ship's actions amplified by humanity's impossible technology. But the true turning point came when the Horde launched what should have been their masterstroke. Their flagship, a massive biological construct that dwarfed all other vessels, emerged from faster-than-light travel directly above Earth's orbit. Its surface rippled with organic weapons evolved from countless battles, ready to unleash devastation. Instead, it found itself caught in humanity's most ambitious trap. The quantum grid didn't just redirect its attack, it inverted it, turning the flagship's own biological adaptations into a prison of contradictory physics. You see, Admiral, Sarah explained as they watched the massive ship struggle against forces it couldn't comprehend. The greatest mistake wasn't underestimating our technology. It was underestimating human creativity. When backed into a corner, we don't just fight harder. We rewrite the rules of the game itself. The battle had become more than a fight for survival. It had become humanity's declaration to the galaxy. Underestimate us at your own peril. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's quantum grid cast rippling patterns of light across the solar system, a testament to humanity's transformation of space itself into a weapon. The remains of the Nexus Horde's biological ships drifted lifelessly, their adaptive capabilities finally overwhelmed by forces they couldn't comprehend. The Empire's once mighty fleet was scattered, most of their ships either destroyed or disabled by their own redirected energy weapons. High Counselor Venthor's holographic form shimmered in Project Prometheus's command center, his crystalline surface dulled with defeat. Before him stood Dr. Sarah Chen, General Hayes, and Admiral Thexra, the unlikely alliance that had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. "The Council has reviewed your terms," Venthor said, each word seeming to cost him physical pain. "We find them acceptable." Sarah's expression remained neutral, but there was steel in her voice. "They're not terms, Counselor. They're facts. Humanity will not be conscripted. We will not be subjugated. And we will not stand idle while greater powers try to use our system as their battleground." The quantum core pulsed behind her, its light casting long shadows across the chamber. The technology that had seemed impossible mere days ago had become the new standard against which all future conflicts would be measured. "The Horde's remnants are retreating beyond the outer rim," General Hayes reported, studying the tactical displays. Their biological adaptation met something they couldn't evolve to counter: human ingenuity. Thexra stepped forward, her silver scales reflecting the quantum core's light. "The Empire's hierarchy is fracturing. Many fleet commanders have pledged their support to Earth's defensive mandate. They've seen what happens when old assumptions meet new realities. You broke every rule of warfare," Venthor accused, though there was a note of grudging respect in his tone. "Your quantum grid defies the most basic principles of physics." "No," Sarah corrected him. "We just asked different questions. While you were perfecting existing technology, we were imagining new possibilities. While the Horde evolved through biological adaptation, we evolved through innovation. You saw our technological gap as weakness. We saw it as an opportunity to leap forward in ways you never considered." The holographic display shifted, showing the extent of humanity's defensive network. What had appeared to be a simple planetary defense system was revealed as something far more profound: a new understanding of space, time, and warfare itself. "The quantum grid isn't just a weapon," Sarah continued. "It's a statement. Humanity will not be bound by the limitations others try to impose on us. We will not be relegated to the role of primitives or cannon fodder. We will forge our own path." Venthor's form flickered as he processed the implications. "And what path is that, Dr. Chen?" "Peace," she replied simply. "But peace on equal terms. The grid stays active. Earth remains independent. And any force that threatens our system will discover exactly why underestimating humanity is a fatal mistake." The High Counselor's crystalline surface rippled with what might have been resignation. "The Council will expect guarantees that this technology won't be used aggressively against." "The only guarantee we offer is this," General Hayes interrupted. "Leave us in peace, and we'll return the favor. Threaten us again, and you'll find that what you've seen is only the beginning of what humanity can do when pushed too far." As Venthor's hologram faded, Admiral Thexra turned to Sarah. "You knew, didn't you? Even before they threatened Earth, you were preparing for this moment." Sarah's lips curved in a slight smile. "We knew someone would eventually try to force humanity to choose between submission and extinction. We simply chose to create a third option. Revolution." Thexra mused, "not through superior numbers or firepower, but through reimagining what was possible." The quantum core pulsed once more, its light reaching out to the edges of the solar system. In its glow, the scattered debris of battle served as a reminder. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had changed the rules of galactic warfare forever. In the centuries to come, the Battle of Sol would be remembered not just as a military victory, but as the moment when humanity announced its presence on the galactic stage. Not as servants or soldiers in someone else's war, but as innovators who had turned their greatest perceived weakness into an unstoppable strength. The price of underestimating humanity had been paid in full. and in the light of Earth's quantum grid, a new era of galactic history began. One where the word primitive would never again be used to describe the species that had rewritten the laws of physics simply because someone told them they couldn't.